Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening to Horror and Heels. If you're wondering how we're making this podcast, we're doing it through Anchor. You can go to Anchor FM to get started. It's free. They have creation tools that allow you to do it right on your phone or your computer. I edit. I'm actually recording this while I'm in my car waiting to go to my next client. They make life so easy. They even distribute your podcast for you. You can be heard on Spotify, Apple, other sites. It helps you upload if you want to make a Patreon or anything. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. I know zero about formatting and doing this and that and the other thing, and Anchor makes it so easy. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. If you want to learn more, go to the Anchor app or anchorfm.com to get started. Thank you and have a great day. Okay, welcome back to Horror and Heels, everyone. I'm Alicia as usual.
I'm Jen. And you want to go?
No, you do it. He's your friend.
Okay, all right. I'm Jen, and today we're interviewing Joe Russo, one of the producers of Nightmare Cinema, which is on Shudder. It's actually a Shudder exclusive.
That's
hey,
true.
Joe.
Hello. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. I've been a big fan ever since I saw the name, which I think is quite genius. Horror and Heels.
That was all Jen. That was all Jen.
That's one thing I can contribute.
It's very clever. It's very good.
A lot, Jen. I mean, zero editing, but a lot of
other things.
Hey, she did book your guest.
Social media.
There you go.
She booked your guest for today. So.
Yeah. I can't do social media. Like, I can respond to things, but even like somebody tagged us in something on Instagram and I texted her. I was like, so you need to put this on our page because I don't know. I'm like, I'm out. I should probably just handed my phone to my 2-year-old and been like,
here, can you handle it, please?
He would have been like, boom, boom, boom. So, Joe, what are you drinking this evening? Before we start recording, we all went and grabbed our drinks.
We did get our drinks. I'm drinking the Stone Brewery, their Mexican lager.
What's in that?
It's a salt and lime infused lager. It's good.
That's delicious. You're gonna have to send me a picture of that so I can post that so our viewers get a Oh,
pretty can. Wait, I pretty can.
Oh, hold on.
Are you gonna try that again?
Yes, wait. Okay. All right. I'm gonna take a picture. Ready? And done. Nice. I like it. That's good.
Right. Well,
so I would open that can right now. You've been shaking that for a hot minute. I feel like give that a second.
Some of their labels came in upside down.
I was gonna say, was that intentional?
No, I don't think so. Because I definitely had right side up versions of this beer too. So
does it taste different when it's right side up?
Jen, what about you?
Tastes the same.
Okay. I'm drinking Red's Apple. I figure since it's fall, I'll start with get into the ciders.
Can we talk about that? So we were out on the east end of Long Island where I resident, and we went and we stopped by my favorite. We have a couple breweries that make just ciders by us because we've got a ton of apple orchards. I get us two growlers. I had one glass. My husband goes, well, if you snooze, you lose. That was spot.
Wow.
I am drinking vodka, strawberry liqueur, and lemonade. Because apparently in my house, cider, you snooze, you lose.
Snooze, you lose. How long have you been married? I've been married for 11 years, and my wife knows the snooze, you lose thing.
It's only been 3.
Like when we go eat sushi
in this 3rd year, Joe, I gotta tell you.
When we go eat sushi, she's like, I gotta like eat fast. You know what I mean? She's like, I gotta get them before Joe gets them all.
That's cold-blooded.
It's a competition.
Wow. So much. I guess is that an extreme version of what's mine is yours, I guess.
I got we're real extreme.
Yeah.
Well, the other night, So my son steals my husband's Szechuan wontons all the time when we order Chinese. So I'm like, well, let's just get him his own. Clearly he likes these. So I watch Ed. Ed makes my son his plate, and like we put it in the fridge to cool it a little. And there's still like 7 wontons in TJ's wonton container. I see Ed open the other wonton container. He's like, no, those are his and these are mine. And I go, what are you talking about? And he's like, see, this is where I can tell you were raised as an only child. And I had 2 siblings. You don't touch other people's food.
Yeah.
Really? Because my stepfather brought an Entenmann's cake to this house, and he ate the whole goddamn thing. So I really don't know what you're talking about right now. Don't know what you're talking about.
We also have a huge fight over Girl Scout cookies. That's a big thing.
Yeah, see, I have to have my own box.
Especially because you can only get them for so many weeks out of the year, right?
Right.
So that it's like the hunt for Samoas becomes like she'll literally like hide them in like weird places in the house just so I won't find them.
Okay with, because he is not a Samoa's fan. He's not a huge chocolate person. His things are those peanut butter sandwich.
Ooh, I like
and
those.
He likes the lemon ones. I'm a Samoa's. We don't share Girl Scout cookies.
Oh,
that's like the same flavor. Also, with ice cream, we typically get our own containers just because, once again, my husband doesn't like chocolate.
Well, there you go.
Mistakenly, I bought cherry vanilla last week, and I realized I'd have to share that, and I was like,
no.
4 things I need to write down for finding someone to marry. Make sure we don't like the same Girl Scout cookies. Okay.
The differences are the spice of life.
So 11 years of marriage. Any children?
No kids. Just a little dog. A very cute little dog.
Little puppers.
Yeah. No, we're LA is weird, like, and Jen can probably attest to this. It's not like a lot of my friends from back home who like immediately got married and had kids and got a house, and I feel like LA is like delayed college. Like,
yeah, it totally is.
If you're in your mid-30s, you're kind of almost like in your mid-20s.
Yeah, it's like people are starting to want to settle down now. So I went to college, and all my friends from college, like a lot of them got married. A lot of them are on like the 3rd and 4th kids now. I
thought you were gonna say marriage. I'm like, that tracks for LA. Tracks for LA.
No, not yet. And then so then I got my friends. I got a bigger group of friends here in LA from playing sports, and we were like just having fun all in our late 20s. And now that wave of friends is starting to get married and have kids. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is the group. I'm still behind, but it's still a group that I'm a little bit closer to.
How old are you?
Oh, we're revealing our ages. I'm 35.
I'm gonna be 39 December 17th. You're doing fine.
There you go.
At least you're in your 30s. Oh man.
We had one of my dear friends, but he just turned 30.
I loved him a lot. Loved him.
He was
great.
But it was so funny. There'd be times where he'd say how old he was when something came up during the podcast, and the face Jen and I would give each other because we're the same age. We'd be like, "We're in high school?" I'm like, because I was on my first marriage. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh man, but he was great. I loved him.
Okay, so should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's talk about horror movies, huh?
Yes.
Okay, so Joe, in addition to Nightmare Cinema, why don't you tell people what else you have done?
Sure. Well, so I'll give the quick overview, I guess. Grew up on the East Coast like you. Came out here, went to college at Arizona State. When I was there, got involved with the film club, and we actually petitioned to start a film school, and we were successful. So I ended up getting 2 degrees there. I ended up working in production for about 4 years, doing all sorts of odds and end jobs on set before moving out to Los Angeles. Worked in development for several years, which is actually how I met Jen's brother, and then eventually Jen was in that community. And then ended up splitting off from that job in 2015 and got an agent and got a manager for writing and directing. So this year I had 2 movies come out. One I wrote and directed, which is a thriller called The Au-Pair Nightmare.
Yes.
And the other is a action movie that has Mr. Bruce Willis in it that we wrote. So
he's kind of a big deal.
Who Bruce
Wait, who is that?
No,
I've never
you.
heard of this person.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
What?
Bruce is for sure. So yeah, and then Nightmare Cinema was kind of my baby that I took from my development days into my independent writer, director, producing days, and it was kind of the movie that really allowed me to break off and go independent and get my start.
That's awesome.
So okay, so I gotta say, the first three, so for anybody who hasn't seen it, huge spoilers coming.
Yeah.
Baby pause.
Go watch it. Stop the podcast. Go watch it. Then come back.
Go watch it on Shudder.
Yes.
Yeah, go watch it on Shudder. So the first three of the anthologies, and Jen can attest to this, these are things I always say not to fuck with. Don't fuck with Mother Nature. I'm telling you right now, I would have survived this movie. Why? Because first of all, not going into that fucking movie theater.
Yeah.
What the hell is going into a broken down Rialto? What's wrong with these people? But moving on. First of all, you don't fuck with Mother Nature. I told you this last week when you were at the cabin and then you had a spider attacking you during the podcast. See, not good. Okay. Number two, and I have a dear friend.
Wait, that literally happened?
No, yeah, that happened to me. I was in Big Bear and a spider. No. Yeah, it sounded like she was talking about Nightmare Cinema.
I know.
On the post-credit podcast, we were guests this week. We're filming, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my God, guys, I'm being attacked by a gigantic spider," and it's live. It made it into the podcast.
Yeah, it's like the intro. Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So that's my first rule in life: don't mess with Mother Nature. Just leave her alone. You know. My second rule in life: don't fuck too much with your face. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Plastic surgery. I understand some people it really makes them feel better, but I'm saying you got to do your due diligence. Don't research everything. I always say don't fuck with your face. I have a friend, she loves it. I'm always trying to talk her out of it. I'm like, you're beautiful just the way you are. You don't need to be fucking with your face. And Jen knows, and not to get into religion, but I don't fuck with religion either, especially zealots, like people. There's only one demon that I love. His name is Crowley. Mark Shepard. I'm in love. Don't worry. Jen, everybody who's listened to this podcast knows I have big Crowley from Supernatural love. But it was so funny. They're listing the demons, like, and I'm like, did they just watch a Supernatural episode? Because I'm like, Abaddon does way more than that. So a couple of things.
Well, I'm glad we we broke.
The last two were very good, but just not fears of mine. But the first three definitely hit on true things that really get to me.
Well, I think that is the beauty of Anthology, right? Like, I always joke that this movie is the poo-poo platter of horror because it literally has something for everyone in it, right? Like, there's a slasher, there's an exorcism story, there's a Twilight Zone story, there's a ghost story, there's a cerebral trip into hell.
There's spiders.
There's spiders. Yeah. So my hope was, I think a good anthology, if you walk away liking one or two segments, I think that's a win. And I think luckily for us, most people have walked away liking most of the segments of Nightmare Cinema. And we tapped into, like you said, various people's different nightmares and phobias and spiders and
yeah.
So
I enjoyed that. That first one was my favorite. It was so campy and so fun, and the twist, I won't give that away, but that twist ending was awesome. And then when he's got the guy up on the wall and he keeps trying to reach for the knife. I'm like, just stop. Like, what are you doing, bro?
The director said recently, Alejandro Burgues said recently that that was one of his favorite scenes to ever do was stabbing the guy to the wall.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, you just see us having fun in that one, which I think it just resonates. You know?
Totally.
May I ask, when you do that stabbing scene, is it like a dummy that he's stabbing, like, or is that CG? Like, how did you achieve such like that kind of look?
Level of stabby.
Stabbage.
Yes.
It was a combination of prop knives and editing and you know, because you know we're cutting between him grabbing for the knife and people's faces and reactions and the actual stab motion, and you know, so they take a prop knife and stab, and then you'd break and they'd come in and the prop department would put one that was affixed to his arm, you know.
Oh, okay.
So eventually it all kind of comes together in editing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just love the whole, I know I wouldn't be good at it, but I just love the whole idea of like, I just think people who can visualize that and map it out and say, okay, this is how we're going to shoot it so it looks seamless and like it's actually happening. Like, I just think that's so great. Now, out of curiosity, may I ask in segment 1, what was the thought process in not having the cop Tom call for any backup? Because he never goes on his walkie. Just very.
I wish I had a good answer for you. I mean, you know, that's probably a better question for Alejandro. I think because the movie needed to happen is probably the easiest answer I can.
Yeah, because that's what the script said.
Yeah.
Trust me, I watch way too many Criminal Minds. They're calling to each other every 30 seconds. Is that just from watching that too much? I just expect every cop to
I think maybe the idea is, you know, it's a small town and they're people he knows. And I mean, I think you could logically get away with the idea that he didn't think he needed to call it in right away. You know?
Yeah.
That's I'll give the benefit of the doubt. But you're from a logistical perspective, you're probably right. So but what you're saying is he deserves to die.
Yeah. When you just don't even try to call for backup.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when you don't holster your gun before fucking running, yes, Barney Fife, you deserve to die. I'm sorry.
By the way, I love that moment. I mean, like, and I miss, like, the couple times I got to see it in the theater with a big crowd, like, the gasp that happens is just wonderful.
Oh, and people are saying like, oh, I don't miss movie theaters. I'm like, no, movie theaters are a whole different experience for seeing movies. It's so much fun. You're in this room with these strangers and you're like in this journey and and it's fun to like hear the same reactions from everybody.
Yeah, I was really, you know, we did a big film festival one. I gotta say, the crowds that I saw this with were all genre crowds. They were all like film festival crowds. We had a really great film festival run like around the world. Played for like hundreds of people every time, which was really cool. So yeah, I mean, it was great to hear that gasp. I was legitimately nervous when the movie was going to get released simultaneously on demand and limited theatrical, because I was like, all the people who are watching it at home, like, are they gonna like this movie? Like, is that crowd experience part of the fun? I mean, thank God it seems like they did. But
oh man, our Shudder group, they were so excited. Like when I got you to when we got you to come do the Q&A in the group, everyone was so like, I couldn't even believe. I was like, oh, you know, I know the guy who did this, and they're like, what? They're like, get him to come talk. I was like, okay, I'll ask him. And they, oh man, that was a
lot of fun. They asked really good questions too.
They did. I'm like going over them now. I'm like,
that group is amazing.
It was so funny. There was like a couple questions that came in like right at the end. And I didn't realize that when the administrator cut it off, like it cut it off. I was like, oh, I'll just reply to these as they like after the time is over.
Oh.
And then it was like, no, I could not reply anymore. I was like, oh, I guess we're done.
Oh yeah. I know. I was like,
a tight ship.
Yeah, Brent is like, we gotta get out. So
no. I mean, look, I appreciate that for sure, but I was like,
anyway, Jen and I don't run a tight ship. You're gonna be here all night.
Right? Yeah, our ship's pretty loose.
That's great. I finished writing
we talked to him for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow! Damn.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have that kind of time.
That's okay. I can get another beer and we can keep going.
Yeah, buddy. So. I like your style.
Mm.
But I can ask the question. Actually, it came from Kelly. I'm looking at the last question that you didn't have time to answer.
Oh, there we go. Wow.
Why don't we handle it here? And then I can tell her that she got her question answered.
What was the question?
So she says, I have to mention the flash of a demon in the church story. It was a fast image flash that I almost didn't catch before it cut to something else. It almost made me think, oh man, how many times are demons flashing around us in life? It reminds me of The Exorcist, Pazuzu vibes. Was the demon a post-edition? Also, as a producer, do you try to stay on script? And how much changes or how do ideas morph as you go along?
So the answer to the first question is yes, that was put in post. The flashes of the demon were put in post. The demon was actually all shot in front of a green screen so that they could manipulate how big he was and how small he was and how quick he could appear and where they could put him. And so that's how they inserted him into the footage. But the second question is how much do we stay on script?
How do you try? Yeah, as a producer, do you try to stay on script?
I mean, as a filmmaker, I try to too. I think you kind of have to because there's so many moving pieces of the machinery. I mean, you know, Alicia was talking about earlier about how it's so cool how these moments can kind of seemingly come together and people visualize this stuff. I think it's also like it takes an army to make that happen too, you know, and it's all of these people working in tandem and sharing that same unified vision, and that has to start with the script. You know, like everyone has to have that document and understand what's supposed to transpire, when it's supposed to transpire, so that all of those departments can cohesively come together. I think, you know, there's room for improvisation in the acting elements, like lines can be tweaked and changed and such, but I think at the end of the day, you're not going to show up on the shoot day and say, hey, we're throwing these pages out and doing something completely different, and we need different props and different costumes and different actors. And I mean, you'd have to probably shut down and you'd go over budget, and then somebody like Jen's brother would show up and shut you down. And
He'd be like, nope, putting the kibosh on that.
Yeah. So yes, the answer is you try to stay on the script, I think, as closely as you can, while still being creative.
Yeah.
Now, was this very hard to cast because you're literally, with the exception of Mickey Rourke, and we'll get to him, you're casting basically 5 separate movies?
Yeah.
Was that difficult to cast? And were you concerned that any of the people that you cast were going to be remembered or viewed primarily for roles that they've done for a long time? And yes, I'd be talking about Mr. Sonny Corleone. It was
General Hospital. I had a feeling. Yeah.
He steps on the street and I was like, oh, dude from General Hospital. Is that ever a concern while casting, that the person is too recognizable from a singular role?
I don't think so. I think I'm speaking in a broad generality here. I don't know how much of a crossover there is with soap operas and horror movies. So I think the subset of people who would recognize him, like you, are probably not.
My mother loved General Hospital. Bernard was her right. That's his name, Maurice Bernard, right?
Maurice Bernard, and he's great, by the way. He's good in the movie too, and he's been a huge proponent of the movie on social media.
He was excellent. But my mom, rest in peace, Mama, huge crush on Maurice Bernard. That's how I knew who he was. I should preface this by saying that Joe is absolutely correct. I am not a General Hospital watcher, but my mother was.
However, you're adjacent. You're adjacent to.
But it's pretty funny.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
My wife will sometimes. She likes to have the TV on the background while she works. I think that's. I can't do it. For me, I can't do it. But she does. So I'll walk out of. I'll walk out into the kitchen to go get a drink, and General Hospital will be on in the background, and I'll be like, oh. Hey, there's Father Benedict.
Hey, there's my guy.
So that's always fun. But no, I think he's one of the few I think that would fall in that category. Because I mean, really outside of like Annabeth Gish and Elizabeth Reeser, you know, there's not a lot of other actors who I think are hugely recognizable. But I think there's really good character actors in the movie. And you know, and like Richard Chamberlain obviously had a huge television show in the 70s, but I think most younger horror audiences aren't going to connect him to that. So I don't think there was anyone in the cast that was terribly distracting.
You mean besides Mickey Rourke, right?
Besides Mickey, well, I mean, but he was so over the top.
Yeah.
Now I have a question. Just need to know. And Joe, if you tell me we have to cut this is fine. When you were doing Anthology number 2, all about not fucking with your face, was your thought, oh, we need to get the guy who is the poster man for Don't Fuck With Your Face, Mick Rourke? Just one.
No, that is just a happy coincidence.
Because I literally, my husband was like, I don't think I know who this is. So I showed him pictures of Mick before the surgery, and he goes, why would he do that to his face? To be fair, my husband knows almost zero about pop culture, to the point where I said something about Beyonce once, and he just looked at me. I'm like, are you unaware of who Beyonce is? He's like, yeah, I can't pick her out of a crowd. I'm like,
wow. He's in his own bubble.
So here's the thing. Like, Mickey was cast really late into the process. Like we'd already started shooting when Mickey was cast. So you know, Joe Dante and Richard Chamberlain's segment with the Mirari, the plastic surgery segment, that had been
you
written.
Don't see him until Anthology 2.
Yeah.
At the end of Anthology 2, yeah. So that had already been written ages before we started production, obviously. And so it really was just a happy accident that Mickey Rourke showed up with his plastic surgery after and even further, when we developed the script initially, Joe Dante's segment was supposed to come fourth in the original order. And when Joe read the whole script, he called my producing partner on the project, Mick Garris, and said, David Slade has all of these creatures with deformed faces, and you know, they're all throughout his whole segment. And he's like, I just have like the couple makeups at the end of mine. And if mine comes after his, it's not going to have the same impact as if it comes before.
Right.
So we literally, that's when we made the swap, was at the script stage. So even, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, it really, really, truly was just a happy accident that A, those two segments switched, and then B, we ended up casting an actor who's, like you said, kind of the poster
child for
plastic surgery.
Oh man.
And speaking of plastic surgery, I just have to know. I have never been inclined. Never. Just never. But I have to be honest with you. You wouldn't do more research than your fiance, whose mother you've never met. So I got some questions about that. Unless they live out of the country, because that I could completely understand. How are you engaged to a person you've never met their family? That's questionable.
That first
That's
of all,
questionable
not happening.
At best. I mean,
I think at the end of the day, it's best to approach that one as a morality tale and not try to put too much logic into it. Even I remember
logic though. But
when we were doing the script read, I remember at some point Joe Dante turned either to me or to someone next to me and was like, he's like, this script is just ridiculous. Like,
like no, not believable.
Did the boy
right now like?
Oh dear.
But that segment, and I kept saying this on in the group thread, we were asking questions. I was like, this whole plastic surgery hospital scene reminds me of Death Becomes Her, and the music too sounded like Death Becomes Her. And I know you said it wasn't like a direct thing, but I totally got those vibes, and I loved it because I love Death Becomes Her. And I was like, the little violin chords that they had, and then just the whole vibe of the plastic surgery office. I thought that was really
obviously her face looks like the mom's face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Also, right. To in tune that the mother has 3 breasts.
I don't know, but I'll tell you those makeups were great.
Oh, fantastic!
They were really, really. I mean, we had makes sense. We had a great makeup team on it. We had K&B, which is Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger's company, and they're like some of the best in the business. They do Walking Dead and Tarantino stuff, and I mean, they do all the big shows. So we got really lucky that they did our little tiny movie, and you can tell
scars, because I have to say I had some precancerous lumps removed this summer, and so the doctor just asked that like a week in you take because they were on my back, I couldn't see them, so he was like, just take a picture like the first day you take the dressing off, and then use it, and then take a couple pictures so you can so that you make sure they're not getting infected or anything. And I have to say that's how my scars looked when my bandage on those came out. Like, it's so realistic. It is so great. Now, granted, I don't know what 3 tits look like, but that seemed very realistic as well.
They were great, and she loved it too. She just like walked around set like, Zara was just like showing them off. I had
fun with it. I love it.
Oh yeah, I got a great photo of both her and the mother giving me a nice little kiss on each cheek.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's adorable. We'll post that.
Pretty cool.
Now, which one of the anthologies was your favorite to produce of all 5?
Oh man, that's like asking which of your favorite children is
TJ, you're my favorite.
You're not supposed to say that out loud. Okay, so I would say that my favorite experience making them. I can answer that.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
My favorite experience of them was The Thing in the Woods, the first one, because we were literally about almost an hour outside of LA. We were out in the woods. It was like being at summer camp. And because we were literally out in the middle of nowhere, nobody's cell phones worked. So actually which meant we actually had to, talk to each other in between takes and things. And, and that was great. It was just this nice isolated moment. And it was just, and you see it on screen. That one was just so much fun. I mean, all of the effects and the fights and,
the way she's running with all the blood and everything.
Oh gosh, it's great. Yeah. I mean, it was just there was so much creative ingenuity, and it was just fun. I not that the other segments weren't, but that one was special because it had that summer camp vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the third one with the Catholic Church and the last one with the little boy, were those the hardest to film because they involved children?
I think whenever you're working with children, it's always hard. I mean, the movie I directed, The Up Air Nightmare, has a young girl in it. And when you're working on really fast, independent schedules, and kids can only work so many hours a day, and, they're not as experienced as an adult, that can always be a big challenge. But I think, especially in the latter segment, in Dead, Fale is like he's in every scene in that movie, so, and I think he's really
so
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so good.
He did a good job.
I agree. I think he's terrific, and he was a real find too, because Mick was like so specific. He's like he wanted someone who was mixed race, a certain age, and could actually play the piano.
Wow.
And they had to be a good actor on top of it. So it was
that kind of makes it easier. Like at least you have all these things.
Yeah,
I know. It's like when you find it, then that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, but he knew he wanted Annabeth to play Mom because he'd worked with Annabeth previously a couple times and had great experiences with her. So he's like, okay, so he knew he wanted to cast the movie very diverse. So he's like, it has to be. And Fale appeared, and he's great, and that's him actually playing the piano in the movie, which is really cool. Yeah. So he's a really good little actor. Though I guess he's not really little anymore. He's probably.
I know. What is that?
That's right, 18 now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think Ryuhei, luckily he had Maurice to kind of help carry his show. He had a couple adults in his segment to kind of help balance the load. But he also had tons of action in his. And so he was having to work around the action with the kids. So I think they had individual challenges. But yeah, it's always tricky working with kids.
I have to say that my favorite special effect was in Anthology 3 at the church every time they would get on the roof. I actually thought that was so cool, so beautifully shot. I thought the falls were so beautifully shot.
Those falls were really, really fun. Like that first fall when it's the boy, that was a 30-foot free fall. No wires. It was amazing.
That's crazy. How many times did you have to do it?
I think we got it once. I think it was just the once.
Wow,
yeah.
nice.
So they had a lot of cameras going, and but it's amazing to watch them do it because all they have are, you think there would be like a giant crash pad, but it's not. It's actually cardboard boxes.
What?
They absorb the impact better. We use cardboard boxes for the throw in my movie too, Jen.
Whoa.
It's really interesting to watch it happen.
You could not get me to jump into a pile of cardboard boxes. I'd be like, you can put cardboard boxes on top of the big airbag, but
cardboard boxes. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's really amazing to watch it happen. But they absorb the impact better. So that was pretty cool. When the women fell at the end of that segment, they were wired, obviously, because they were together. But but even that, still, just to watch them, they're up 30 feet in the air, dangling by the crane, and then they let them go. It's pretty cool.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That was our first week of shooting, so I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. That would be super exciting.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I couldn't do it myself, but I'd love to be there and watch it happen.
Yeah, being a stunt person you're a special kind of personality.
Oh yeah, totally. Like you have to like getting hurt, and I don't. So unfortunately, I would not make a good. I like the action, the thought of the action, but it's the bone breaking and all that other stuff. No, I'd never have once, and I'd be like, well, that was a good run.
When I was in college.
You close, Jen, did you window close on that?
Yeah. It's close.
when I was in college, we did a Christmas short film, and we had Santa Claus in it, and the guy was like the perfect Santa Claus. He literally looked like Santa. He was 75. He was like a store Santa, but he couldn't get up and down without the assistance of editorial, right? So what we did was, I had a friend of mine who was like the body double for when Santa would need to get up and down off the ground. We would, cut around it. But for the stunts, I played Santa, which involved like Santa getting tossed into a Christmas tree.
Oh my god, that's the best thing I've heard all day.
You must have been finding pine needles for days.
Oh my god! I literally, there's footage of me doing a backflip into a Christmas tree. Or I guess a front flip, but yeah, still a flip into a Christmas tree.
Oh my god! If you can get me a clip of that I could boomerang on our Instagram.
Please and Thank you.
I have to say I'm trying. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Jen, but every Christmas I post one clip from it. 'Cause I don't like to show my students stuff, but I always post a clip of Crystal and my wife, and she runs out of the house and she pumps the shotgun and she aims it at Santa Claus.
That's awesome. I have not seen that. I'm gonna look for it this year. Are you gonna post it this year, or are you posting something else?
I will always post it.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna post that on our thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't get your response to the Death Becomes Her reference because yes. So
yeah, I think I don't know if there was like a direct link. So here's the thing. The segment was written by Richard Christian Matheson, and he's the son of Richard Matheson, who's like the very famous author and very famous Twilight Zone.
I love Hell House.
Yeah, there you go. So
Jen, do you know?
Cool. I really enjoyed getting to know him making this movie. But I think really because Joe had directed some very famous segments of the Twilight Zone movie and the TV series remake. And obviously Richard was paying homage to his father. It owes more to a very famous Twilight Zone segment where have you ever seen the pig face Twilight Zone segment where like so that's really where if it was ripping anything off, it was ripping that off.
Got it. Okay. I loved it.
It was definitely I Am Legend I was thinking of, not the other one. Listen, guys, I'm going to be honest. I've been dealing with car trouble since Wednesday, so I've been drinking heavily. So
it's okay. You can mix up. You can mix up.
I have a lot of facts on this podcast, and nobody has felt the need to question me.
No, it's fine. People don't listen to us for facts. Well, no.
They're listening to you for the hot takes.
Exactly, the hot takes and putting down actors.
Like Rob Zombie's Halloween is the worst remake ever.
Did you listen? Okay, so what are your thoughts?
On Rob Zombie's Halloween?
Yes.
I think that it. So when I went and saw it in the theater originally, it's like the only movie that I think Crystal ever really wanted to just walk out of because she thought it was so violent.
I walked out, and I don't walk out on movies.
Yeah.
It's one of the few movies I walked out of.
He took Halloween and he married it with The Devil's Rejects, and it's a weird mishmash.
Now it's a Halloween reject. Cool.
Yeah. It's not as bad as the second one. The second one is like one of the worst things I've ever seen.
We're not doing that.
Jen, I was just about to say, let's list things we're absolutely not doing.
I think you should. I mean, it is.
I will do Thanksgiving, which I haven't even watched yet, but I'm willing to say right here, right now, I will do Thanksgiving every Thanksgiving from now until the end of the day.
Before we ever do, yes.
Watch Halloween too.
Yes.
I don't know, guys. I would be curious to hear your hate watch of Halloween too.
That'll be like a 10-minute episode. We'll do like a little 10-minute. I'll watch the trailer.
No, Jen. This is what I'm willing to do. If people want to know how we feel about it, next year Halloween time, I am willing to do. If people want to, we'll set it up with a paywall.
Yes. Yes.
A live watch.
Yes.
People can pay to watch us watch that and comment.
Yes, a reaction
and all
video.
The money can go to food banks for the holidays.
Wow, see, that's a great idea.
We will do that. If people are...
We have to have at least 1,000 subscribers by then, though. So getting on that subscribe button. Share.
Hit it.
Yes.
Let's go. Like, comment, subscribe.
Joe, I can't have you on here without talking about your mistaken identity. And I'm not going to correct anyone on our advertisements for this podcast.
No, let them come. Let them come and let them get tricked.
So, for those who don't know, Joe Russo is also the name of one of the one of the Russo brothers who's done, Community, the Avengers, like huge, the Marvel movies. And our Joe Russo, our beloved Joe Russo that we have with us right now, gets mistaken for that Joe Russo almost every single day of his life on his Twitter and his email.
But not limited to this podcast co-host at first.
I got a text.
I got us Joe Russo, and I was like, "You're the Avengers, dude," and I was like, "No, different Joe."
God, sorry, Alicia. Sorry, I do.
This is great.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad. I feel like once I can get people past that initial shock and like they can just talk to me for a few minutes, usually it goes okay. But no, I definitely feel like I've done some, panels and things where people show up thinking it's one thing and then they get me and they're like, oh no. But it was really funny. I mean, you're right. It happens all the time. Literally on Friday, his executive texted me and was like, "Hey, do you have a movie casting right now? Because we just got a weird phone call about a movie that we have no idea what it is." And I was like, I do, and that's probably what happened.
So you are in contact with this people. Like, they have to keep in touch with you because you got to forward them his mail.
Well, so like earlier this year, like earlier in the pandemic, I got an email from a university in England, and they were like, "We want to give you an honorary doctorate."
That's amazing, and I would have just said yes.
Okay.
And
so like, yes, thank you.
So we, because like when they give you these honorary doctorates, you go and you do a speech and they fly you and blah, 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 blah. So I literally considered, I was like, wow, like this would be like a great way to go to England for free. Like I'd bring Bristol, it'd be great, And then like we'd play this big prank on the university. And then someone was like, you'd probably get arrested for fraud.
They'll sue you for fraud. But I would fight that. Yeah, I would fight that. My name is Joe Russo.
They made the mistake.
You didn't do your research.
That's not my fault.
You really loved Nightmare Cinema. Why?
Yeah, right. I was like, you liked it so much you wanted to give me a doctorate. So I emailed him and I sent him the information, and he thought it was very amusing too. So if I need to get a hold of him, I can get a hold of him. I know his executives. I have his email. He will reply to me if it's juicy enough like that.
Oh my God. So, what's your Twitter? Because people need to see the way you troll people with your Twitter. So people,
I have to stop doing that, Jen, because I got in trouble.
I need to follow this for content immediately.
My Twitter is just for references at Joe Russo Tweets, and when you go to it, it's a photo of me, and it says All Pair Nightmare, Hard Kill, Nightmare Cinema. Right? It has no reference to the Avengers whatsoever. And literally people will still tweet at me like, "Why did you kill Tony Stark?" And I'm like, fuck you, I haven't seen the movie yet. Like,
your trolling responses are amazing. I remember you told one person, "Well, I still got your money," or something like that. Did you have to take those down? Because that was
No, they're still up there if you do some digging. But basically, what happened was there was a Trump supporter who flagged me for impersonating, and I'm like, I know. I mean, I wasn't even doing it too, but I think they just like saw a way to get me kicked off Twitter.
I gotta be honest. I am truly impressed by the amount of time certain people have to devote to certain things on social media. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so
that. I got a 2-year-old that needs his figgies now, people. I can't be recording.
So I ended up having to do some due diligence, and I had to find someone who worked in social media at Marvel to get in touch with Twitter on my behalf and say, he's not, like, he is Joe Russo and he is a filmmaker. He's just not our Joe Russo.
One of the Joe Russo.
And so I was reinstated and I got my account back. And but
now,
yeah,
do you have a green check mark?
No, they don't do those anymore.
Oh, you don't have a check mark.
No, they stopped for some reason. I mean, that would solve everything, but
yeah, right.
They got a check mark because Joe Russo's over here in person.
Yeah,
I had to get rid of that.
They probably won't give me one just because they might want to get rid of me at some point. So the other day it happened, and I lightly trolled the person, but then also made it very clear in my trolling that he had the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I basically said I can't even remember what the question was. I was like, you'd probably, the Russo brothers would know better than me. But I still gave him my opinion on the subject.
Yeah. He probably didn't even get it. People, yeah. Oh man.
So what else can I tell you about Nightmare Cinema?
Were there did anybody audition during the casting process for a different part, and when they auditioned you were like, no, this is the part for you?
I don't think so. I mean, again, I wasn't super involved in the casting process because the directors really the reality is these directors are all really experienced directors, and
because they were each directed, for those who don't know, each story is directed by a different person.
Yeah, so Alejandro Brugués, who did Juan of the Dead, Joe Dante, who's obviously famous for Gremlins, among many other classics.
I love the Gremlins.
It's Gremlins, right? Mick Garris, who's did Masters of Horror and Stephen King's The Stand and wrote Hocus Pocus. David Slade, who wrote Hard Candy, or who directed Hard Candy and 30 Days of Night. Ryuhei Kitamura, who did Midnight Meat Train. So all of these guys have a track record. So when it came to the creative, my job wasn't necessarily to weigh in on it. My job was to try and protect their vision.
Gotcha.
So if I liked someone, my goal was to try to get that person for them. So for example, Joe Dante really wanted Richard Chamberlain to play the plastic surgeon in his segment. Right. And Richard Chamberlain's people, they wanted some points on the back end. And that was kind of super complicated because it's an anthology and it's such a big cast. And we hadn't cast Mickey yet, so we didn't know what we were going to have to give that person. And we had two executive producers who at the time were contentious with each other, and ultimately they ended up suing each other over it. But so I had to try to navigate to get both of their approvals to get Joe the actor he wanted. So that was more like where I came in the mix on the casting, was just trying to ensure that we, working with the casting directors and working with our producer Nancy, who handled all the physical production, that we could get the things that the directors wanted, that they needed to tell the stories in the way they wanted to tell.
So that's basically the role of the producer is kind of getting all the parts together, right? Like the directors, the writers, making sure that you guys have everything that you need. Because some people don't know. We see people see producer as a credit, and then you're like, I have no idea what that means.
I mean, the problem is there's so many different types of producers. I mean, there's producers who manage all of the physical production, they're organizing, how the money is coming in and going out, and when the trucks are showing up, and who's driving those trucks, and when, and how, and where they're parking, and there's producers who do that. And then there's producers who put the money together. And then there's producers who, have a tangential, they had the rights to the book that it's based on, and they got a producer credit, So there's all sorts of different types of producers. But the reason I got the full-fledged producer credit on this movie is because I was overseeing the whole process. I was involved the movie literally started with me and Mick Garris sitting across the table from each other at my development job and talking about this at the idea stage, So I kind of helped manage it through development, through production, through post-production, and through release.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I was there every day on set, which was great. So.
And now, how did Shudder let you guys know they wanted it to be an exclusive? How did that come about?
So after we did our festival debut at Fantasia up in Canada, which is an awesome genre festival up there.
Canada, all the good stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. Like we got to go to Montreal.
Boys that do work for me, Justin Trudeau. Just wanted you all to know.
There we go. We were, Montreal was great. We were the opening night movie there, and kind of off the momentum from that, we got good reviews coming out of that first screening, and mixed agency at the time, Paradigm, came on to represent us for sales purposes. So what they started doing was they started setting up screenings where all of the buyers would come in and watch the movie. And so Shudder teamed up with our theatrical distributor, Cranked Up. Right. I'm gonna have a fire truck coming through in about 2 seconds if you guys want to make a note. Theatrical distributor Cranked Up, and they collectively put together a deal and negotiated with our financiers, and that's how it ended up coming to live at Shudder.
Wow, that's
nice.
Way cool.
It was really interesting process. I mean, we had quite a few bidders.
Okay, dust your shoulders off. All right.
Yeah. So that was nice. I mean,
did you shop it? Like, how did they hear about the movie? Did you have to submit it to
Paradigm did
just? Oh, okay, they shopped it. Okay.
So yeah. So they, like I said, they set up they have a screening room at their agency, and they put out like a fancy spread, and they had like 20 buyers come and all watch it at once, and that was a tricky screening. I mean, boy, that. Of all the screenings, I was like, oh God, please don't hate this. Somebody buy this movie, please.
God, I'm mainlining whiskey that entire time. Clutching my Buffalo Trace and calling it a day.
I'm nervous at the thought of people listening to our podcast. I can't even imagine
having 25 of them.
All 25 of them.
I brought our mutual friend Jen Brett Glattman with me. And,
I love that guy.
And it was great because I could as soon as it was over, I was like, so what'd you think? How'd it go? How do you think people did?
What did Brett think of it?
Oh, he was great. Brett loved it. I mean, he had seen like bits and pieces of it as we were making it kind of throughout. But
here's my question. Is Brett, listen, we all have that friend. Is Brett like a real friend who like, even if you suck, is going to tell you, dude, this motherfucking sucks? Or is he a friend that wants you to like him?
No. Brett doesn't give a crap shit if you like him.
Brett is the most.
He will tell you to stop wearing a tie as a belt. Oh, good. Yes. Okay, I like it.
Brett is the most contrarian person I know.
Oh yeah, he's that guy.
When my third husband, we'd get along perfectly. Line it up when this one goes south.
Brett lives to argue.
Oh yeah.
So.
I haven't even met him.
His stories are. If I could get him on the show, he has some insane. Like it would have nothing to do with horror, but just his story. He tells us this one story of him throwing his Subway sandwich at a guy's car in a parking lot and getting stuck trying to get out of the gate. Me and my brothers were cracking up. He tells the most random stories. Love you, Brett. You're hilarious and awesome.
Brett, we love you. Come on the show. Jason Mantzoukas, we love you. Come on.
Yes, come on the show.
He'll only come on if you guys watch Halloween 2 and talk about it.
Oh God. Okay. Well, he's gonna have to pay then. He's gonna have to pay to come on the show.
We'll comp him. We'll comp Brett. We'll give him a promo code. See, once I hit the vodka hard, I start making promises I have no intention of.
That's a year from now. We have time. We can negotiate.
We have time. Now, so let's pivot a little bit. You've done some other movies. Feel free, talk about those for a second. I'm kind of in love with this idea of an au pair nightmare.
You should watch it.
And where can people find that?
It's available wherever you can video on demand. It's on Apple iTunes. It's on Amazon.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like the worst at finding stuff. Like, but if people I like tell me, hey, like Jen, she'll be like, hey, watch this, do this. Jen can tell you, I'm right on it. Like the last guy we had on, Brandon, who wrote the novel, he was like, can you read this for me? Like, I need feedback. Boom. 2 days later, feedback.
Wow.
Like, I'm the most supportive person. I'm just really bad at figuring out how to find stuff.
So, it's on Prime, right?
What?
It is on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I was a nanny for a year while I put myself through beauty school. So.
Well, good. Then you'll probably be able to appreciate it. It's a fun little thriller. You know, it debuted on Lifetime. It was an acquisition for them.
You love everything about that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yes. You'll probably get a kick out of it. So yeah, I mean, it was a real labor of love. I mean, you know, as I'm sure you guys know, it's really hard to get your first movie as a director made, just because everyone who wants to make your movie, they want you to have had made a movie already.
Right. It's that catch-22. You're like, well, I can't make the movie if you don't let me make a movie.
Exactly. So ironically, like, you know, Nightmare Cinema helped create that opportunity, because one of my producers on Nightmare Cinema, Nancy Leopardi, she gave me that opportunity with Au Pair. So she handled all, like I said, all the physical production on Nightmare. She really made the movie. And she had read some of my scripts and she'd seen some of my short films, and she was basically like, look, you're a good writer, you're a good director, you need a shot. I have an ability to get low budget female driven thrillers made. So if you come at us with a movie that can be shot for a very small amount and can be shot in 14 days, we'll let you direct it. So my friend, simultaneously, my friend Amitabh, who's a great writer, he read an article and he's like, man, this would be kind of an interesting idea for a movie. So, you know, we kind of started like figuring out what the narrative version of that story would be, and you know, came up with this wholly original idea that was basically about obsession and intrigue. And if, you know, I really was interested in most nanny thrillers, the nanny is the crazy person, you know, and I was like, I didn't have a nanny growing up. I can't really relate to that idea. So what if the nanny goes to live with crazy people?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the germ of the idea. And yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but
I know.
That sounds great.
It's got some fun twists and turns that you probably won't see coming.
All right, so now I want a sequel to both. It's called Au Pair Nightmare Cinema. Put together an anthology of au pair stories. I think it would do well.
I think it's really ironic that they both have Nightmare in the title. And again, that was, I mean, originally when we shot the Au Pair, it was the Au Pair. It wasn't until Lifetime bought it and they slapped Nightmare on at the end of it.
Because it's Lifetime.
Yeah, they do that. But by the way, we got lucky. Like, they could have called that like Crazy Killer Mommy or like Evil Employer, or you know what I mean, like
right.
Like we actually got
much worse.
Yeah.
Oh, much worse. Much worse.
But it rhymes. I like the flow of it. Au Pair Nightmare. It sounds good. I like it.
It really sounds good. I'm trying to remember what they changed it to in France. Or no, not France. It was England. It was terrible though. Oh my God.
It's weird how they have to translate those things.
Well, it's even sillier too, because like they have au pairs in Europe.
Yeah, so, it's like, why would you change that part?
Yeah, it was like it was called Nanny Nightmare.
That's not
Nanny Nightmare, like a killer family or something like that. I'm like, way to spoil the whole movie in the title.
That sucks.
I watched this just because Trevor Donovan is really fucking hot. This is like a fun cast.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I got does a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we had to cast the movie in 2.5 weeks. So It was, the whole movie was prepped in under 3 weeks. So
wow, that is an insane turnaround.
It was a real trial by fire. But I'm really proud of the movie, what we accomplished in that time period. It's a fun little picture, and the reviews were good. So the ratings were solid. So everybody kind of walked away. We had some battle wounds for sure, but we walked away okay.
Got some good stuff going here, Joe. You're on fire here. I like it.
Well, trying. Coronavirus certainly hurt everything. So
listen, I'm a nail tech. So just so you guys know, it will be airing Saturday, November 7th at 9 a.m. on the Lifetime Movie Network.
Oh, hey.
There you go. I didn't know
that. Joe didn't even know that.
Want to get up really early and save the $3.
Again, I forget that I'm speaking to people without children. And 9 a.m. early. Fuck you, Joe. My kid will be up at 7 a.m.
Don't be mad at me because you didn't use a condom.
Or you could rent it on demand for $3 and watch it wherever you want. Anyway,
either way.
I'll tell you though, I watched.
So I'll tell you this though, when it aired on Lifetime originally, it aired in full. I caught it on Lifetime Movie Network about a month ago, and they snipped a couple little things. No. So I would not recommend watching it on Lifetime Movie Network.
The audacity! I'll tell you. I watch when I'm feeling like lonely and I'm like, oh, I wish I were dating or married. I watch Lifetime and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm like, never.
You can just know that happens. So that's hard for you.
Yeah, so Au Pair Nightmare. It's hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
I think I will. And, kudos on Lifetime for not making you cast Tori Spelling, because I feel like that's the only place that poor woman can get work anymore. So.
Well, the movie was produced independently, so
okay.
So they actually acquired it.
Okay. Well, that's
and then we became their Sunday Night Movie of the Week, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it was, the casting process was really interesting because the actors had to be on this list that the financiers had, and we had to cast 2 people off of that list, and we had to do it in under 2 weeks, and there was a lot of who's available, who's not, who we can get, da. So the fact that we ended up with the cast that we ended up with and that they were as good as they were is pretty remarkable.
That's stressful.
And I was also location scouting and shot listing.
Gosh.
Yeah. So
where did you guys location shoot?
We shot in New Mexico, Albuquerque. Beautiful Albuquerque.
Fabulous weather.
Wonderful Albuquerque.
It was really funny. I did not have any idea before I got there that it was actually going to be kind of cold in May. I thought it was going to be hot. I thought it was going to be like Arizona, but the elevation's so high.
Yeah.
It was cold. Wow. So I totally packed wrong for the month and a half I was there.
You're in shorts, hey guys.
No, thank God I brought some warm clothes, but I was wearing I would be wearing a jacket on set sometimes. It was crazy. I'm and then poor Brittany, we put her in the pool twice, and it was so cold. Luckily we heated the pool for her.
Yeah, but still, you got to get out.
When you get out, oh man, yeah.
I gotta say, this is the difference between men and women. I go on vacation. I go anywhere. I'm checking the 10-day forecast. I need to know what happens. Joe's just I was in New Mexico for a month. I thought it was warm and bothered to look just back.
Look. Okay, first of all,
my husband. It'll be fine.
Los Angeles, it's technically a desert. It's warm in May. Arizona, I lived in Arizona for years. It's a desert. It's warm in May. I figured New Mexico, it's a desert. It should be warm in May. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm just learning to start checking weather. I'm oh yeah, that is a thing. So
not a mistake I will make again, for sure. But Albuquerque is not, it's not the most beautiful place in the world. And we were staying in a really weird part. One morning at 10 a.m. when we were getting in the car to go to set, there was a woman in the abandoned parking lot across the street, out of her car puking. Like all sorts of fun stuff. There was a guy in the convenience store when I was waiting in line. He walked over to the liquor section, bear hugged like 6 handles of vodka, and then just walked out of the store.
Wow.
And I was just like, Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
He didn't pay?
No. Yeah. And then I kind of like looked at my beer and I was like, do I need to pay?
Is this and they were promotion?
Like, yeah. To be fair, though, he might have had like a tab there.
At a Walgreens? Do you have a tab?
I didn't hear the part that it was a Walgreens. I thought it was like a local liquor store. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Here in New York, you can't sell liquor outside of designated liquor stores. And a friend of mine who runs a bar, he does, like, the bar has a tab at a local liquor store in case, God forbid, they run out. And then they just charge the bar at the end of the month. So I thought it might be something like that. I did not hear the Walgreens. Once again, been drinking.
It's fine.
I'm going to be honest with you guys that I did not mix this drink correctly. And it was like this much vodka, this much liqueur, this much lemonade.
For those who are, just listening, she's making a big this with her fingers.
That's a big this. It's like 3/4 of the glass.
Yeah. And that's the vodka.
There was lemonade, there was lemonade in the bottle, and I was like, but not enough that I could make 2 drinks with. So I'm like, well, I'm not measuring any of this. Yeah. So I just started dumping into that bottle, and things went awry, guys.
And now it's gone.
This is almost not.
If you ever do go to Albuquerque, though,
it'd all be done.
If you ever do go to Albuquerque, Farina Pizza was great. Ate there like the whole month. And Marble Brewery. Those are the places.
Never tell a New Yorker that a pizza place is great.
Yeah,
all right, fair, but hey, I'm from Connecticut, okay? Yes. All right, Connecticut has better pizza than New York. So there you go. She knows it's true.
Julia Roberts was in a semi-impressive movie. You think she's got better pizza?
I love Mystic Pizza. Okay, don't that.
I have objective information on my side because Connecticut's always at the top of the pizza charts. So,
have you ever had Mystic Pizza?
No, I don't actually think I've ever had Mystic Pizza.
I would like to. It looks so good in the movie.
Pepe's Pizza is like, that's the best. Pepe's is great. Pepe's. Yep. So if you're ever in the New Haven area, she knows. That's why she went quiet.
No, she went quiet because she has family in Connecticut and she's not trying to make them feel bad. But anytime I've had pizza in Connecticut with those people, I've been like, damn, this ain't good.
So
what?
Your dough is like cardboard. Do the dough. I don't understand. It's either way too thick or so thin I could spit through it. There's no happy medium with you people.
I've never had it, so I have no opinions. Also, LA doesn't get to have opinions about things, apparently. What was I
think there's some good pizza places in LA. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yes,
Thank you. Yeah, there are some really solid pizza places in LA. John and Vinny's.
Pizza Hut, Papa John's.
No. John and Vinny's Pizza, I would put toe-to-toe with just about anywhere else in the country.
Where is that?
It's right in the Fairfax Village.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's the guys who own that restaurant, John and Vinny's, Animal, and Son of a Gun. All 3 restaurants are spectacular.
I will check that out.
There you go. So that's my pizza recommendations. You're welcome.
Bam. See, you get everything here on this podcast. Yeah. Everything. Pizza recommendations. Oh, Joe, what are your top 5 horror movies.
Oh, dear God. I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Halloween, number one.
John Carpenter's 1978. Let's be clear.
Is there any other version?
No, there is not. No, there is not.
By the way, guys, I think my husband pays attention to nothing in our house because last night I played, we were carving our pumpkin, so I put on a Halloween party playlist on Alexa.
Yeah.
I don't want her turning on.
Yes.
And so the Halloween theme comes on. And I'm like, okay, name the movie. And he's like, I'm like, dude, I just watched 2 of these goddamn movies back to back for the goddamn podcast. And he's like, I'm like, oh my God.
Ow.
I'm like, I love you so much. What the man makes a burger like nobody's business, and I'll effing keep him.
There you go. There you go. Number 2 for me would be Scream.
Love Scream.
Scream. It's brilliant. It's so much fun. It was definitely like a huge gateway horror movie for me.
The post-credit podcast just came out with their podcast about
Scream.
All of Scream 1 to 4. They did such a great job discussing it. I agree. That's definitely in my top 5. It's just so much fun.
Oh, I just think it's a blast. After that it gets kind of murky. I know those are like the 2 like definitive
those
ones
you
for
could
me.
name off the bat.
Yes. But like as we go down, I could give you 100 of them that I love.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead movies, The Shining, The Exorcist. Now,
out of curiosity, with The Shining, did you happen to read the novel? Like, do you?
Yes. I have read the novel, and we actually just reread it. We listened to it on tape. Well, I guess not tape. We audio booked it.
Yeah. We got it.
You know what I meant. You're hip to this
tape
technology.
For people born after 1993.
My wife gets on me all the time when I'm like, oh, I gotta tape this on TV. She's like, no one tapes anything anymore.
The
Shining book is so different from the movie.
Now, so this is where I fall. I love the movie. I love the book separately. I can see why Stephen King is annoyed, but I enjoy Stanley Kubrick's vision. Or are you one of those Stephen King purists who hate it simply because it's different?
I just said it was one of my favorites, so I do love it.
I'm asking because I knew you said that before I knew you read the book. There are people who love it and have never read the book, so it's always like, so you like it outside
I saw the movie first.
Oh, okay.
So it made an impression on me before I read the book. I think a lot of people who are the purists who feel the opposite usually read the book first.
I read the book first, saw the movie second. To be fair, though, I read the book when I was in 4th grade, wasn't allowed to watch the movie until I was in 8th or 9th grade. So I probably should have done a reread right. Oh my God, look at that dog. I want to cuddle it. It looks like a tiny Ewok.
Yeah.
She does. Thing ever.
Her little snaggle tooth.
I think she needs to go. out. That's what she's telling me. The Shining. The argument with The Shining is one that I'm very familiar with because my partner on Nightmare Cinema and the podcast that I produced Postmortem, Mick Garris, directed the TV miniseries The Shining that Stephen King wrote, famously to rectify his issues about the original Kubrick movie. So I've been involved in lots of discussions comparing and contrasting them. So that is an argument that I know very well. And it's funny too because for me it's like I appreciate I like both of them. You know what I mean? So
did you see Dr. Sleep? Did you see the follow-up?
I did. The first time I saw it in the theater, I liked it, but I was a little mixed. When I watched the director's cut that was on HBO Max, that came out.
I liked that.
I actually fell in love with it. For some reason, it just clicked with me the second time. I think Mike Flanagan is a wonderful filmmaker, and just about every movie he's made has really resonated with me.
Joe, do you need us to pause?
But no, I think Dr. Sleep is a real accomplishment. I think Mike had a really difficult challenge in trying to balance the book, the movie, and the miniseries, and kind of fusing them all into one document. I think he did a really admirable job in trying to find that balance.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, did you not like Dr. Sleep?
I have not seen anything about
The Shining. No!
I know!
What?
I have tried to watch The Shining, and then I'm like, nope, it's such a slow start. I know I have to eventually. I think
you guys are going to have to do an episode of this podcast where Jen watches The Shining.
I know, but we should do a reaction video.
There was a remake, so it is on our list, because obviously there's Stanley Kubrick's version, and then the miniseries with Steven Weber, who I love.
He's great. We had him on the podcast. He's so funny. Really nice guy too. So yeah,
I've loved Steven since Wings. Steven, I love you. Come on the podcast. Come on the show.
So Joe, you have your own podcast also.
Yes, Postmortem with Mick Garris.
Okay.
That's the one that I produce, and we've done 85 interviews so far with all sorts of horror luminaries, from Mike Flanagan to Stephen King to John Carpenter to Steven Weber. I'm really proud of being a part of that show, because I think we've really created an amazing horror document of conversations with people who are important to the genre. And we actually kick back up again. I think by the time this airs, we will have started our next season with Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's son.
God, I love Joe. I loved Horns. I loved The Fireman.
It's a super funny episode too.
You've got a new fan.
It's a super funny episode too, because Joe Hill. If anybody
was wondering if I'm hitting subscribe right now, don't wonder, I
am. Joe was Mick Garris's production assistant on The Stand. So it's a really interesting conversation to watch them kind of link back up again.
I literally said to my husband, I go, my birthday gift this year has to be a CBS All Access Pass, because The Stand literally comes out December 17th.
Yep,
it's the remake. Literally my birthday. That is CBS's birthday gift to me. Thank you. I need it.
You'll have to keep it. So Mick, who directed the original, has a cameo in it. So
I will be looking for that.
He's very easy to spot. He has long white hair. So,
yeah. Right. Oh yeah, I know what he looks like. Yeah. That'll be back momentarily, and then I have one that I produce for fun, or that I'm into for fun, with my friend Chris Price, who does our audio engineering on Postmortem, called Hollywood Hangover. I listened to that one.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
And that's fun. We kind of just take, we take trends, like things that are happening in the movie industry that we think are going to have some kind of trend line, and we kind of talk about how it impacts the business. So we have one fan.
There you go. You met your listener.
We met our listener. Hello, listener.
By the way, Jen, you know how we were like, oh, we're so excited. We have a real review.
Yeah.
No. And you know how we were like, oh my God, we have a listener in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I completely forgot that my husband's friends, Rigo and Autumn, live in the Netherlands now. So thank you, Rigo and Autumn, for listening from abroad. Thank you.
That counts. It's a real review.
It's still in the Netherlands.
Real, but I'm just saying, we thought, a random person in the Netherlands. I unfortunately forgot about them for a second.
My mom reviewed The Au Pair Nightmare on Amazon, so
there you go. We gotta get it where we can.
If you've ever listened, you will hear me say, Joe, that the things I talk about, I can talk about freely because I'm positive my father will never listen to
And I'm like, my dad, he was trying to tell somebody from our church to listen to it the other day. I was like, no. There are some people from my church that could listen to it. I was like, no, don't share that. I was like, why do you want to know?
You should listen to the Halloween episode.
Yes, please. Joe, you have no clue how.
Where we talk about that. Did you guys watch the did you watch the director's cut or did you watch the theatrical?
Maybe was it I don't know. The one I thought.
Did it have like the gruesome rape scene in the?
Oh yes, I hated that.
Oh my god! Like what the look, Rob. I've met Rob a couple times. Like I like him, but like what the fuck, Rob?
It was so unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
Super unnecessary. To the point where and we said this in the podcast. I don't like shock value just for this. Like nothing's that shocking anymore, and all it does is distract from the horror and the scariness. You're too distracted to be scared. You're like, this is terrible. What's happening? I don't.
I totally. Either it was in the theatrical and I just blocked it out of my mind, but when I rewatched it when it turned 10 a couple years ago, I was like, oh my god, this is like horrifying. Like not in a fun.
No, not like I love being scared. It's like I'm disgusted. Yeah. I like, and you didn't like anybody in the movie. I don't want to rehash, but it's just like, you weren't. It wasn't fun. It was just like I'm grossed out. I'm uncomfortable. This is not what I'm watching this movie for these feelings. Like,
no, that is not in my top 5.
Okay, good. We'd have to cancel this whole show, this whole episode, if you said that was your favorite.
I mean, Gremlins might be up there. I do watch Gremlins every Christmas.
I love Gremlins. And actually, Gremlins is one of the few where I think the sequel rivals. The sequel rivals the original because I almost like the sequel better than the first one.
The sequel is
New Yorker. The sequel really touches me.
As a kid, it was so fun watching them all turn into these different things, and you had like the spider one, and then I was grossed out because the one turned into a woman, and then the guy was like, whatever. At the end,
have you seen the Jordan Peele sketch about how Gremlins 2 is made?
No.
Oh my god, I gotta send it to you. It's so funny.
Yeah, when he sends it to you, send it to me.
I will.
It's like I don't even know if I want to. I'm not even spoiling it.
Okay,
just basically.
Jordan Peele does such great stuff. I just adore him.
Yeah.
Jordan, we love you. Come on the show.
Jordan Peele, come on the show.
Good luck. I haven't been able to get him on postmortem yet, so maybe you'll have better luck. But
all right.
Maybe he likes big-titted blondes, and we can use that as beautiful brunettes. Also, listen, he just doesn't want to talk to a bunch of guys. We'll get him.
There you go.
Planning on getting Jason Mantzoukas just pimping.
One of these days, he's going to come on the show.
For the record, though, skinny.
I don't know him.
That's all personality. That's not looks. Jason, I love your personality, and your personality makes you very handsome to me, Mr. Mantzoukas. He's a skinny boy that I enjoy.
Yes.
There you go.
You would know him. Did you watch The Good Place, Joe?
Jason Mantzoukas?
Yeah,
no, did you watch
Jason Mantzoukas?
Oh, I thought you said you didn't know who that was.
Oh yeah, he does the podcast.
How did this get made?
How did this get made? It's wonderful. Yeah, of course I know him. Yeah, he's so funny. He's got the beard and he's great.
He was on I'm Sorry. I love that show.
Oh, God, Jen. So when I told Jen that I love Jason, she was like, "Are you watching I'm Sorry?" And so I didn't get IFC like in my cable package. So she was like, "No, it's on Netflix now." God, that couple is me and my husband. And I can see. Jen was like, "Their banter is couple goals," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me and my husband." We literally had an entire conversation in the car today about the difference between a pie and a tart. This conversation went on for 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
What is the log line version of that? I actually don't know what the difference is between a pie and a tart.
So a pie must have pastry on the bottom and the top, and a tart can only have pastry on the bottom.
Oh.
And a cheesecake is technically a tart because of that.
Interesting.
Only
That's fair.
There you go. All right, there we distilled the 20-minute discussion into a
it went on forever.
factoid.
because of COVID, we're deciding how to do Thanksgiving, and I truly believe it's just going to be me, my husband, and my baby at this point, because my dad is kind of elderly, my uncle's elderly, like they're getting nervous.
Yeah. We're having those same conversations. Yeah.
So I was like, you need to make a decision, and he's like, well, then I want pumpkin pie, and I was like, ugh. I'm like, fine, then I'm making 2 pies. 20-minute pie discussion. That's how
we're last year we got there's this great barbecue place called Russo, and they do
we get barbecue. Yes,
the fried turkey. They have fried turkey there.
That's
phenomenal.
What we do. That's what we usually do. My dad has a huge fryer that you can use.
Oh, nice.
And but this is great. You guys, like, if you see it, it's the butterball. And so there's no open flame or anything, because that makes me this is just like a huge deep fryer. It holds up to a 21-pound turkey, and that's what we do in our family usually. But if it's just going to be the 2 of us, I'm just going to do a breast and be miserable, and it'll be great. Happy. Don't worry, I have whiskey. I'll be fine.
We hosted last year, and we had people over, and we got this fried turkey from Bloodsoes, and it was amazing. And now it's looking like it's just going to be me and my wife, and I'm like, I still think I'm going to get that same damn turkey. Yeah, I'm you know what, man, I don't care. Like we'll have leftovers for days.
Right,
and
for
days.
Why not?
But yeah, I mean, it was that good.
The thing is, though, is I cook everything myself, so I am not prepping and cooking a 21-pound turkey for 2 people.
I don't blame you. If we were cooking a turkey, we would not do that either.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right, Joe. Well, we don't want to hold you up, but this has been a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me, and thanks for the fun. You know, I don't get to go in a deep dive, just talk about Nightmare Cinema in that way usually. So this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Joe Russo Tweets, and they can find me on Instagram at Joe Russo Graham.
Sweet. Was there anything?
GRAM?
GRAM.
Okay. Listen, my fat ass immediately went to Graham Cracker, and I was like, oh, wait, that's not right.
No, as an Insta. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You can find us at horrorandheels@gmail.com, Horror and Heels on all the things, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook. Please, guys, send us some messages, rate, review, etc. And we will be back next week. We are doing Freddy vs. Jason for Friday the 13th. I have never seen it, so I'm very excited.
Oh, I'm excited.
I don't know how
it's a fun one.
I've never seen this one. Don't know how I missed it, so I'm very excited. And I think that'll be a really fun conversation.
Oh, totally.
I plan on getting drunk for that one as well.
Yes, can we? I'm going to do some shots before we start recording.
Perfect. No, let's do some shots while recording.
I mean, I think we can do both.
Well, that'll work. Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend. And I hope everyone had a happy and safe Halloween. Bye.
Yes. Bye, everybody.